Hey guys, it's Silversun here, and today I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a rant on this whole theory thing that people have been coming up with. Now, it's not that I hate this theory, I think it's a pretty cool theory, and I wish it was true, but as of now, I really don't think there's too much evidence to support it right now. But before I do, I just wanted to tell y'all that I'm sorry if I haven't been making much videos lately. I've been back and forth from place to place and stuff like that. I've been doing some things, and I just haven't really had the time to do it and stuff like that. But I'm back now, and I'm gonna be posting videos daily and stuff like that, like before. I know it's been a while, like 2 weeks or so, but I got y'all. I know Dungeons, and More Dungeons is coming out later tonight, and Forgot Snow F is coming out tomorrow and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll get that for you guys as soon as I can. But onto this theory, some people are saying stuff like, oh, Bipper's come back and stuff like that. Bill possessed Dipper's body again and all that stuff. And, ever since I think Northwest mentioned Mystery, he's been like acting strange and all that stuff. And, he's just like out of character and all that stuff. But in my opinion, I don't really think he's too out of character. There are some instances, I believe, where he is kind of out of character. Like, for instance, when McGucket talks to him about the apocalypse coming up at the end of Northwest Mansion Mystery, and he just pretty much like he's just like, nah, man, it's a party, let's have some fun and all that stuff. And I mean, I guess that was kind of out of character, especially for something so big as the apocalypse. But I mean, he did just fight off, like some kind of crazy ghost guy and stuff like that. So I guess he could use a little bit of a break. And here's one where I think most people, got their evidence from, and from what they've seen and stuff like that. That part in Not What Seems, the ending with, like the Bipper looking eyes and all that stuff. Well, if you look closer, like I know some people say stuff like, "Oh, his eyes were like they were like that. They were all long and kind of like Bipper's eyes even before the light flashed on him and stuff like that." But I believe it was just his expression or something, because pretty much like everyone else that got affected by the portal, they were just standing still, like they weren't moving or anything like that. But Dipper was like moving, he was saying no and all that stuff, so I think it might have just been, the animation that they were doing. But that's one of the biggest evidence that they have, and I don't really think it's too good in my opinion. I mean, I feel there should be a bit more to it than that. And I know we've gotten a couple theories wrong in the past, like Lady Susan being the leader of the Blind Eye Society, or McGucket being the author, but this one is just like right now I don't think there's too much evidence to support it, and some of it like could just be like countered, or like some of it could be explained, as I will in a minute. So let's recap from Not What It Seems, because that's where most people are getting their information from and all that stuff, and all the you know moments and parts and stuff like that for the theory. Now, at the beginning, pretty much they're just waking up and all that stuff, and they're having just a good time with Grunkle Stan and all that stuff. And if y'all haven't forgotten, remember back at the beginning of season 2 when they made that promise at the end of the episode? I mean, I know that we're both lying to each other, obviously, but they didn't know that, they were crossing their fingers. Like, only the person that lied knew, but Dipper didn't know that Grunkle Stan was lying to him this whole time. So, but that's gonna come back later. So yeah, pretty much they made a deal back then, if y'all haven't forgotten. But pretty much this episode just starts off with them, hanging out with Grunkle Stan and all that stuff. And then later, the government guys come in, and then they're pretty much just saying like, there's a doomsday device in the shack and all that stuff. It could destroy the whole universe and everything. And remember that scene where the car crashed, and then they were about to leave to go help Grunkle Stan and stuff like that, and get some evidence from the security cameras and stuff like that. Pretty much the agent was talking to him, and he was saying like, are you gonna let him scam you too and all that stuff? You can't trust him. And then Dipper at that point is kind of like doubting it a bit. He's like thinking about it, and then he's just like, no, like that's not true and everything. Was that out of character for Dipper? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he would trust Grunkle Stan, but going further down the episode near the end, when they go to the portal, at that point pretty much he realizes that most of the things the agent's been saying were true. He's a evil mastermind. He's been planning this whole time and stuff like that. And pretty much they looked at the journals and it pretty much just warned them, like warnings everywhere, just saying, it was he was wrong the whole time. The whole universe could explode. You have to shut it down and all that stuff. And pretty much all this evidence was just like piling up and everything and stuff like that. And even before then, he had all those fake IDs and stuff like that. And he was like, and he didn't know what to believe and all that stuff. And pretty much he saw that Stan had the journals, all three of them and stuff like that. He just couldn't believe it. All this stuff was happening right in front of his eyes and everything, and he kind of just lost his trust at that point in Grunkle Stan. But Mabel didn't. She was being all positive and all that stuff. Is that out of character for Dipper? Probably. I mean, it seems a bit, strange for him to just turn on his great uncle like that pretty quickly. But I mean, it was pretty close in terms of like time and all that stuff. They had like a minute to shut down that portal. They didn't really have too much time to think things through and all that stuff. And with all the evidence saying, if they don't shut down that portal, the universe could explode and all that stuff. So it was pretty, like panicky and stuff like that. I guess he was just like, trying to make everything right, I guess, in the best way he knew how. But yeah, and then I mean, I think it's just because he didn't know, what Grunkle Stan wanted from the portal and all that stuff. We know what happened, in A Tale of Two Stans, obviously. But Dipper didn't know that as of yet. He thought that Grunkle Stan really did want to try to blow up the universe for some reason. That doesn't sound too smart, actually, but I mean, it was just, they didn't have too much time to think it over, so they just sort of went for it, I guess, and pretty much the portal blows up and all that stuff. Well, not blows up, but like it just gravity starts changing and then it just stops, and then pretty much the author comes out, obviously, and all that stuff, and Dipper's just like all curious and stuff like that, saying like, "Oh, who is that?" and stuff like that. And I know this episode wasn't really with the theory. Like the theory came out more before, not we seems and stuff like that. That's when it was starting to, get a bit bigger and stuff like that in terms of people knowing about it. But in A Tale of Two Stands, when he sees the author, he like freaks out and all that stuff. Like from the previews you guys probably saw and all that stuff, he was freaking out. He was all excited and everything. He wanted to know what was up with the author. He wanted to know, like all kinds of things. He wanted to ask him a whole bunch of questions and stuff like that. Is that out of character for Dipper? No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously he would, freak out about the author. He was fanboy screaming and all that good stuff. And yeah, but at the end of the episode, well, at the end of their backstory, the two stands, at the end, here's like my final sort of, fact about it, is that Dipper pretty much apologizes for what he did, in the Tale of Two Stands when he tried to shut down the machine because he didn't know, like he thought it was some kind of crazy big, like, crazy plan that Grunkle Stan was coming up with, I mean, it did seem pretty stupid for him to think like that. I mean, I think he should have trusted Mabel and all that stuff. But I guess I could see where this theory came from and stuff like that. But as of now, I really don't think there's too much evidence to support it. I think it would be cool if that were to happen. Bipper coming back and all that stuff. That'd be pretty cool. Pretty cool plot twist there. But, with all the things that I've seen and stuff like that, I just don't really believe it as of now. But yeah, that's pretty much my little rant on this theory. I don't hate it. It's just not a very good one in my opinion. I just don't think there's too much evidence to support and stuff like that. But what do you guys think of this? Do you guys think Bipper should come back? Do y'all think, this is a legit theory that this could happen and all that stuff? And yeah, until the next one, guys, Silver Sun is out.